Hey y'all, I'm Carol Corey, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome back to my Creating Corner. I'm so glad you're back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad you found me. Go ahead and click subscribe and the notification bell, and that way you'll be able to easily come play with me again. I think we have a lot of fun. So today we're going to have a lot of fun using an embossing folder as the star of our card. We all love embossing folders and they add some beautiful texture to our card, but we're going to use the Countryside Blossom, and it is actually going to be the focal point of this card with a little bit of earthen textures on the front also. This card is a beautiful general note card, birthday card. I think it'd make a beautiful sympathy card too. Anything you need it for. This is a technique you'll definitely want to keep in your mind. Okay, it just shows up so beautifully. So anyways, without further ado, let's get down to the creating table and get started. Here's a close-up look at this card. Isn't this just beautiful? It kind of reminds me of that burnt velvet fabric that you used to see, but I just love it. Now this embossing folder, the Countryside Blossoms, as well as the dies and stamps that I'm using, which are from the Earthen textures, and yeah, and there's the dies. These are in the annual catalog, and Fruitful Blessings. Okay, all these are in the annual catalog. I am using some ribbon that is found in the mini catalog. Now, if you don't have a U.S. demonstrator, if you're in the U.S. and you want any of these products, you need a U.S. demonstrator. If you don't have a U.S. demonstrator, please visit my store. You'll see the address up at the top of the screen, and I'll have it down in the description box below. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message or an email. I'm more than happy to help you. I love seeing people getting creative and just de-stressing. So anyway, so we're using basically the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder and the Earthen Textures dies and ink stamp set, and I am using for this particular card a sentiment from Fruitful Blessings. I'll have everything written down below, all your dimensions, everything you need, so just listen along or take a look down there and cut some paper and then stamp along with me. That would be fun. And if you do, go ahead and post a picture of your card down below in the comments below. I'd love to see what your version is. So let's get started. Let me show you what we need. Okay, I've already said we're using the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder. We are going to be using some clear embossing powder, the Earthen Textures dies and stamp set. Right here. Now look at the stamps. You've got some beautiful sentiments in here. Thank you. You're proof there's good in the world. With gratitude, your thoughtfulness is much appreciated. You always know just what to say and do. And then these two awesome vases, different types of florals to put in, or I would think of them more as grasses, to put in your vases. And your dies are awesome. We do have the dies to cut out each of these 5 images, but we're going to be using this awesome fan, and you've got a lid for your jar. We're going to be using this. We'll be cutting the jar out, and we're going to cut out this spray that we're going to use. We're going to be doing this one in Smoky Slate, and we'll be cutting that out. So let me just put these here so I don't drop them on the floor. Oops. Yeah, I think this is a very versatile set. You've got a lot of really interesting things in here. Okay, and then I am going to use just this little hello friend from the Fruitful Blessings, which I love. Now, any of these sentiments from either of these stamp sets would be perfect with this. I just am choosing to use that. And I'm going to use that one with this double oval punch, and I'm only using the plain oval, not the scalloped oval. I am also using this awesome natural ribbon. Now this ribbon is in the mini catalog, which just came online the other day. And it's actually a set with this gorgeous copper ribbon. But for this card, I'm only using the natural. And again, if you don't have a US demonstrator and you would like the catalogs, the annual catalog and or the mini catalog, let me know and I'll pop one in the mail. Okay, so we've got, of course, a Misty Moonlight card base. We do have a black panel to go over it. Of course, the Misty Moonlight card base is the 5.5 by 8.5, our typical, US typical card base. And then our black panel is 4 by 5.25. And I love this grid paper because it's got the measuring the inches along the bottom and along the side, so you can easily measure out your cards. And on the other side, it is in the metric. So Misty Moonlight, typical 5.5 by 8, scored at 4.25. A black panel that is 4 by 5.25. We're going to have a very vanilla panel just for the inside, and that is this, oops, wrong one. Let's use this one. And oh, I'm going to have to cut that down. Okay, I have two that are the same as just a regular half of the card base, because I'm going to be doing my stamping and cutting from one of them, and I just didn't cut the other one down. I took a regular card base and just cut it in half and kind of stopped at that point. But anyway, so no big deal. So I've got my 4 by 5.25 panel for the inside to put my inside sentiment on, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that in right now with my multi-purpose glue. There we go. One less thing on the table to get in my way. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the black panel down also, since I'm not wrapping any ribbon around it. See my little ink holders? These are the, this is what the ink for my printer came in. It's perfect for holding two little things of your multi-purpose glue. Okay, so there I've got my card base done and out of the way. Now, I need to do some stamping. Let me grab my stamp sets. Here we have my Earthen textures with Misty Moonlight stamps. The shorter vase, and I want this gorgeous pampas grass, however it's pronounced. And I think those are the only two stamps that I'm going to need out of here. And while I'm pulling stamp, look, I just happen to have that one done. Doesn't that pear just come out gorgeous from this Fruitful Blessings? Okay. Well, we're not talking about Fruitful Blessings right now, even though I do love that. Let's find the Hello Friend. Okay. Hello Friend. And mount that one. Okay. So with the Misty Moonlight, I am going to stamp. Now what I like to do is, okay, now you notice it's just, I'm just tapping. I'm not pushing and smushing. Just tap. And then you can look and make sure the whole thing is inked up correctly. And I've got a little on the edge there, so I need to be careful. Well, kind of careful. I am cutting it out, so it'll be okay. But I'm going to wipe that off. Okay, so there we go. So here I've got it all inked up. I'm going to go ahead and put it on this Very Vanilla. Let it all absorb. Now you'll notice these images are not solid. There's like weathering in there. So you're not going to get a solid band of Misty Moonlight over here, okay? It's going to have like some weathering on it. Like that. So that is gorgeous. And also with the Misty Moonlight, I'm going to do my Hello Friend. And I'm going to put that right about here. Let that absorb all in. And while I'm stamping on my Very Vanilla, I'm going to go ahead and do my Pampas Grass. Make sure it's all inked up. There we go. Let it just kind of soak into the paper there a minute as I get that out of my way so I don't make a mess. Okay. Now, that is all the inking that I'm going to have to do. Now, you'll notice on the card, the vase has little handles. I'm going to take the whoopsie, there we go, let's get these dies out. I'm going to cut this. This is the piece that has the handles on it. I'm going to cut it. There's no stamping to be done. So, look, this is a shaky table. I'm not going to be doing my cutting here. I'm going to take all these things over to my cut and emboss machine and get them all cut out and ready to go, and I'll be right back. Oh, and while I'm over there, I'm also going to take this crumb cake piece and this lovely big palm, and I'm going to put that on the crumb cake and cut it out while I'm gone. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. So here I have my Take a Pick tool. On one side you have this like a spatula, and on the other side you have this great little pokey tool. And you also can put on one side, there's this, you can push it out, and that's got some little adhesive on it to pick up sequins very easily, or you can trade it out, just pull off an end and put a little roller thing in there to help you get your dies out. But I'm not doing any of that right now. I'm just using my little pokey tip from my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to use this to get out, in the back of the Stampin' Up! Dies, there's these little teeny tiny holes. And these holes are so you can poke your tool through and easily get your die out. Of course, when you have just a frame die, you don't have to worry about it. And I got these taken care of. Now, I do have a little bit of ink right above my sentiment, so I'm going to go ahead and re-stamp that. Let me go ahead and get the palm out first. Okay, look at this. Is this not awesome? Let me poke that hole right there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And it's got all your little texture and everything in there, and you can like bend it. It's slightly separated. Add some texture. Whoops, sorry about that. I was kind of out of the thing. There we go. So I love the texture on this. Okay, let me get these out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and re-stamp. Here we go. my sentiment. And again, I held it crooked because I'm reaching instead of having it right in front of me. Much easier when it's right in front of me. So hello, friend. Perfect. Perfect. I'm going to take my punch, put it in there, make sure it's in the center. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. And there we have it. Now I have all my pieces for the front pretty much done. Let me get a couple of these little things out. There we are. Okay. Okay. Now, the star of the show. How did I get this background to look like this? So let me take my embossing folder here. And I'm going to emboss on this 5 by 3 1/4. Yep, 5 by 3 3/4. Excuse me, 3 3/4. I'm going to emboss on this, and you'll notice this is what we'll call the front of the embossing folder. It's got the writing on it, and it also has a line so you can make sure that you get your stamps straight in case it's got a directional motif design to it, which this one does. You don't really want this really crooked. In the long run, I guess it wouldn't matter, but some you absolutely can't have crooked. Okay, what I'm going to do is on the front of the embossing folder, see the back has the bumps, okay? Bumps back, the back has the bumps, and it's going to go through and it's going to push against the design on the front. However, around the design is going to stay depressed. So I'm going to take my Versamark ink pad, and I'm going to ink up the front of my folder. Okay, I'm going to ink up the front of my folder. Yes, you're going to feel rather naughty when you're doing it, but it's okay. Then I'm going to put it, just to check, you know, on the back, because I do want that design to be pretty much in the center. But you see it's a little crooked, so yeah. So I'm going to put it right there, and it's got to go straight down. You don't want to move it because then you'll smear your stuff. Now, as I said, this table's shaky. I need to take this over to my stamp and cut and emboss machine on the counter, and I'm going to feed it through with the fold edge in first. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let's see what we have here. Let's open the embossing folder, and this is the front. Now you notice, just with that, it has a difference in the look. I think that looks really cool. That is, you know, the Versamark can be used as a watermark embossing, as a watermark stamp type thing. So that's why you have this different look. But I want to make it shiny, so I'm going to take my clear embossing powder. Now, Stampin' Up! Sells their embossing powders in sets of 3. So the clear comes with black and white. So I'm going to pour this powder all over the front, and there we go. Now when you're using embossing powder, make sure you shut your Versamark before you open the powder, because if you get your powder on the Versamark, that might not be the best thing in the world. Okay. Now, let's get the heat tool. Look at that. Oh, that is great. All right. So now, what do we need to do now? Well, we could go ahead and let's take a look at the vase. I'm going to use just a little bit of glue, and I could put it up like that, but I'm going to have it in the back because all I want, I could put it on top or like that, but I just want to show the handles. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Oops. A little bit of glue, not a ton of glue. Okay, there we go. Let me get out my silicone craft sheet. When you're using glue, sometimes it's easier to just put it on your silicone craft sheet. That way you're not going to get glue on the paper that you're working on, covering your table with. And the glue will just come right off of this sheet. It's an awesome tool to use. Okay, I do want to use some of these foam adhesive strips. I'm going to put a foam adhesive strip right down the center, and it is going to show a little bit, but that's okay because this whole piece is going to be covered. See, it is going to show, but the whole thing's covered, so it's okay. So I've got that. Let's see, I'm going to put that about there. Let's put some behind it. Here I've got my sticky scissors. I call them my sticky scissors. Anytime I'm cutting something that has adhesive, I always make sure to use the same pair of scissors so that I mean, yeah, you can use some Goo Gone and clean your scissors eventually, but you don't want to have all your scissors gunked up and at the same time. So I like to preserve one pair that I know. There we go. So that's good. Oh, actually, on this card, I had put it flat down. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put little strips on the side here so it'll stay right across. Okay. Put the strips on the edges. Okay. That way it'll fit across and be good. I'm going to bring this down. Let's see, maybe I'll go that direction. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and no, I'm just going to take a piece of tearing tape. If I can find the end. There it is. I'm going to take a little piece of tearing tape, and I'm going to put a little piece of tearing tape, oops, down here on the front of this one. Stick that one right behind, in the middle. There we go. Now I want some texture. You see this? This is my natural ribbon. I have about 5 inches of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tear the inches. I'm going to unravel them. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is just cut off this end binding. If you cut off the end binding,
then you'll be able to unravel it quicker and easier. Let me show you. If you start here, you're going to get it pulling there on the side, right? If you go ahead and cut that binding off the edge, it won't pull on the side. Now I'm not cutting it all the way down. I'm going to leave that binding in the middle. There you go. Now I didn't cut the binding all the way down. I left the binding in the middle where I'm going to fold it up to make sure that it doesn't fall apart. Let me clean this up. Okay, now I'm just going to take my Take-A-Pick tool and I'm just going to pick it. Okay, I chose to do both sides, both ends, so that it would be a little fuller. You see the difference there versus there? Yes, I just did both ends so I would get a little extra fullness. Now I'm going to take a mini glue dot. Let me get this thing. Just going to take a mini glue dot and or two. Okay, fold that in half. Okay, whoops, did I miss one? Get another one out here. There we go. And take my snips, trim off that errant piece of frond. Okay. Grab some more glue dots out of that one. Okay, now let me put some more glue dots on here. Oops, got my finger stuck on that one. You could use tearing tape to do this also. I do like these mini glue dots though, so I mean, so we're going to put these on here, like so. Okay. See what we think? Trim the bottom off of that. Okay. Now I want my sentiment. Hello, friend. Okay. For this, I'm just going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? Okay, I want to tuck it up under here. Tuck it up under here. There we go. And put a, I'm going to put a dimensional on the back. The dimensionals are not quite as high as the foam adhesive strips, so it'll be back just a little bit. And that's kind of what I want. So oh, doesn't that look just lovely? Okay. And then putting that there. It did go off the panel a little bit, but it does not go off the edge of the card, so that's perfectly fine. Well, maybe I'll move this over. Now, I want to move it over a little bit. So, I'm going to take the spatula end of my Take Your Pick tool, and it's just easily go. Look how easily it lifts it up. And I can move it over. There we go. And it sticks because the way it lifted it up, it didn't tear the paper off. It just broke the adhesive free. So there. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love the textures. The texture of the background. I'm really obsessed with the shredding of the ribbon. But oh, I just love this. I just think it is the prettiest card. And as I said, you can use this card, even just put a sympathy on it, a get well, anything. This technique, use any kind of embossing folder. It is just gorgeous. And there we have it. Using the embossing technique on the background of your embossing folder, the powder embossing and the folder embossing at the same time. Love it! I love it! I hope you like my card. If you do, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And when you make this card, go ahead and post a picture in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're creating. So until next time, keep making the world a beautiful place. Bye! Actually, I thought you might want to get a closer look. The table was kind of messy, so let me not say goodbye yet. But here's the card. And let's get a closer look at how that powder embossing on the embossing folder works out. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Well, thank you so much for spending time with me making this card. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much. And again, keep making the world a beautiful place. Bye.